Like that.
What are those things called?
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce Protocol. We have a party after. This is the party after party of Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Alexa, stop. The post Cinco de Mayo party? Is that what you call it? Yeah. So those of us who remember they always had an after party, the post parties that lasted like until 6 in the morning. So we can act like we're just.
Yes. Where did you go?
Yeah, we always had those in San Antonio.
Exactly.
There was a kind of an underground club that didn't serve alcohol, and it was just a dance party on the weekends.
Where at?
Right off the river.
Okay, yeah. I remember that one.
And you can kind of see the river walk a little bit from their higher windows.
It was margaritas, and then underneath there was
And
I used to party in the south side of San Antonio. I used to party in
serious.
Oh yeah. No, it was legit. It was legit. And you could dance from 2 to 6 in the morning on certain nights. You know, and it was really designed for people that worked in the downtown Riverwalk area that were in the service industry and wanted to still participate. You know, because if we're all working on a Friday or Saturday night till 2, by the time we clean up the place, it's like 3-ish, you know, even if we do a quick job. So
they never sleep down there, so
well, let's get the show started here.
Yes.
For our neighbors to come in. Want to do Coffee and Pan Dulce. Today is May the 6th. As Mama Ruth mentioned, today is the day after the white celebration of something Mexican. They don't even know. They don't even know why they celebrate it.
It was Mexico defeating
the French.
And then they also helped the United States. So it's actually
so it was kind of a small battle, but apparently, you know, we celebrate Cinco de Mayo here in the United States. People who are familiar with the holidays, we celebrate 16, which is the 16th of December, or El Grito.
Yep.
And that is the Mexican Independence Day. So, but celebrating it, I had Taco Tuesday last night. I made an attempt to make enchiladas.
They look so yummy. Whatever they were called.
Yeah, they weren't really enchiladas. I didn't. You know,
you should have just named them your own because they seem Canos.
Yeah, something. They were kind of crunchy burrito, kind of whatever. But listen, thank you so much for joining us. And I also
Tara.
Tara's joining us. Okay, excellent. Going to be sharing. Everyone's going to be sharing. So let's go ahead and go around. Today is the 6th of May. We have moved the show that Dr. will be on until Saturday because that show is called Did the Stay-at-Home Order Work? And Dr. to be on that show because our phase 1 in North Carolina starts on 5 p.m. on Friday. So if you were looking to watch that show, you can please stay on, share this, or also at this exact same time, there's council members, Matt Newton, Dimple Esmir, and another city council. They're having a virtual town hall meeting to talk about small business loans, I believe, and so forth. And we decided to continue to hold our show, and then we maybe have Matt on Saturday, maybe, and talk about that as well. And so let's go around with our small, wonderful group of people and introduce yourself. And while you're doing that, I can share the other computer.
Got you.
Well, you guys.
Jenny, you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who wants to go first?
Go, Jenny.
I'll go for it. I am Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I represent the National Organization of Women. I'm a board member of that, and then I'm also a team coordinator for Real Out Charlotte, which is our LGBTQI film festival, which we have a virtual festival beginning tomorrow, the 7th, free of charge, open to the public. And then I am a team coordinator for the transgender part of Charlotte Pride called Charlotte Trans Pride. And I very much support, gun sense laws and moms demand action, and very, very much in favor of the sustainability of Medicare for all. I think it's more glaring than ever that we need it. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. You are a very, very inspirational leader out there. And I wish everybody, we have many Jennys like you out there. It will be different in our city. My name is Ruth Perez. I'm a community advocate for the city here in our community, focusing on my Latino community and how they need to get engaged with our city leaders and our city opportunities. I am a truly believer of gun sense as well. I hate to see so many lives dying every single day, and for no reason, for none information and some whack dumb leader that thinks that it's right to carry a gun and just shoot whatever you feel like it. And I also support, and I wish, because I personally don't have Medicare or any insurance. So I do believe that we need to have a reform on Medicare for all. And I'm hoping that this coming 2021 will see a big change on that. Next.
Well, listen, thank you. There is, we have Baby Trump Pinata, who is with us again. He has not missed a show yet. And so thank you, Baby Trump Pinata. If you follow the show, you know that he's carrying a Medicare for All sign. He has a Moms Demand Action button. And he also is continuing to pass out Cynthia Wallace campaign sign, who's running for Congress in the 12th Congressional District, the 9th Congressional District. It's a very, very small part of South Charlotte and 7 counties to the east of us. So I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts. I'm so happy to be here. We're very excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today. My button, of course, is Medicare for All. I have a purple ribbon to support our essential workers and our city workers. And of course, because I can't get this sticker off my jacket, trust women, but I do think we should trust women.
That sticker got stuck there, and it's telling you something, okay?
It is, maybe it's like telling me, I don't know what it's saying. So let's salute.
Hey, let's say hi to Janice. Janice,
yes.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching us on live. We are on live Facebook. Share the page.
Yes.
Make your comments. Do your questions. We're here.
Yes. Exactly. Let's go ahead and salute to Coffee and Pan Dulce. Everyone, salute. Salute.
Jenny, I like that vodka.
Yeah, what you got there?
This?
Our neighbor Barbara Bacon is trying to sign in, so you will see her popping in and popping out. So we'll see how that works. And we also want to thank our Pan Dulce sponsor, Manolo's Bakery. You guys are going to love this. I picked up a tequila cake yesterday.
You get all the goodies out there.
This is the Pan Dulce I picked up. It was very decorated for Cinco de Mayo, I believe. And there's a concha that I'm going to have to eat. And so I just want to let you know that it looks very, very delicious. It's all, I'm sure, low fat, low carbs,
gluten-free, no GMO.
It was a holiday, so calories don't count.
Yeah, that's right. If you eat them really fast, it doesn't count. So,
good morning, Philip. Thank you for joining us.
Well, if you wash it down with a shot of tequila, it definitely does not count. Trust me.
Somebody asked Cano yesterday if it really had tequila in it. Does it?
It did, but I think it burns off.
The alcohol burns off during the cooking process.
Yeah, the tequila was in there.
Flavor.
I'm not a big tequila fan. I don't know. I may have had a bad experience in college or growing up or something. So I'm not. Some people can still do tequila shots. I have a hard time.
I love tequila. I prefer tequila than anything else.
Really?
That's right.
Wow. How about you, Jenny?
Like a macho girl.
Are your tequila days still there?
Tequila. No, I drink tequila. That's my preference. Actually, is tequila. Of all the hard liquors, it's the one it's my go-to.
Yeah.
I usually drink it with like Sprite or some type of seltzer.
Yeah.
And it gives it kind of a little bit of almost like a wine spritzer taste. I mean, I love tequila.
My husband is more into a whiskey. He's more into Buchanan and Crown Royal.
Yeah, I don't know. Every time I drink tequila, I think of that country song, "Tequilas Make My Clothes Come Off."
Or if you drink
You
too
guys
much
know
of
that song?
anything, if you drink too much of anything, your clothes will fall off. Imagine.
Not Mill a lot.
I mean,
All
just the
right,
way that works.
I can tell that our stay-at-home order is either impacting us or we're ready for it to end. So that's what we're going to talk about. We want to talk about how our elected officials have done during this pandemic crisis. We also want to talk about entering phase 1, which starts in North Carolina this Friday.
You are already on phase 1.
Yeah, many of us are. So I'll let you guys decide. What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the elected officials, or you want to talk about phase 1?
I thought the public
1,
officials we were saving for Saturday.
Yeah.
With Dr.
I would talk about phase 1, how we thought.
No, we have to talk about public officials today because I don't want to put Dr. B in a position where he has to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so,
I mean,
for his protection.
I think phase 1, and government is all about compromise, and I think Governor Cooper's straddled between these protests and to keep it from getting violent like we've seen in Michigan and some other places. The phase 1 is a minimal concession to the people that really want North Carolina to reopen, and it's not as extreme as South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. If you look at it, for example, it said reopen all recreational or park spaces, public common areas, open air areas, but truthfully, that was already in the original bill.
Thank you.
And then the opening the retail, they can only allow up to 50% capacity in their stores. So like clothing stores, shoe stores, no bars, no restaurants.
Well, before it was just 5%?
Yeah, none of them could open yet. So, all the indoor recreational party areas, they're late night areas, none of those can reopen yet in phase 1.
Yeah.
And
your peaks are still.
Yeah, so restaurants are limited still to carry out delivery, but where you have to do takeaways, you can't dine in.
That's still causing for businesses to not get enough traffic in, because if I want to eat at a restaurant, I want to go and sit there. I just don't want to pick up food, and by the time I get home, it gets so cold. Pick
it up and take it to the park. It's May now.
yeah, you're right. So listen, I do have. Go ahead, Jenny.
And there's even open air areas like over in Waverly, near where I live. There is, tables in the common areas and the people can
now they are going to be open, right? Because before you couldn't be there.
Yeah, I mean common areas you could sit in, because of the parks rules. That was a Mecklenburg County rule that you couldn't. But so I think people can get creative and go into common areas, the outdoor, as long as they're responsible, social distancing still applies. The preference is that if you do go out in the public, unless you're eating, of course, or drinking, that you do wear a mask. And no gatherings in your anywhere above 10 people. So there
I can gather people outside in my backyard. There's no limit.
Yeah, now you can.
I understand.
Yeah.
But they still recommend no more than 10 people.
That's right.
You don't want to have a flaming kegger and have 60.
What about worship centers like churches and places?
And, driveways, parking lots. Parking lots, churches. Let me read the bullet points that was sent to me by our wonderful researcher, Tara Long. And so, Tara, hello, how are you? I hope you're watching us. I know you've got a really busy day this morning. It looks like phase 1, the bullet points are retailers and services will need to implement social distancing practices, cleaning at the protocol. Dining services are not allowed. Gyms and movie theaters still must be closed, and hair salons must be closed. Gatherings must not exceed 10 people. Parks can open as long as you maintain social distancing of no more than 10 people. Face coverings are recommended in public. Visitors and gathering restrictions remain in place for nursing homes, and employees are asked to encourage to continue to telework. So basically, the only thing that seems like we've changed in phase one are the things you mentioned, Jenny, is there's a little bit of opening. It's not that much of a difference,
Nope.
but it is phase one almost getting us ready for phase two, which is when the restaurants can put 25%.
Now, not all the retail stores are open, correct, Jenny?
That's correct. And,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, limited to certain types, but the
I know my
intentionality.
TJ Maxx not opening until next Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Who's
so
this?
a lot of it,
Mhm.
you know, won't even be considered till at least phase two or phase three.
Yes.
And they won't specify what phase two
Mhm.
will look like completely until
Until
they really see what happens the next couple of weeks. Because
so that
Mhm.
means that they'll take another step. Either they'll extend it or
Mhm.
retract and make some changes on May 22nd.
That's
Correct.
right.
Yeah.
If we don't screw this up, which, you know, the old saying, that's why we can't ever have anything nice. If we don't screw this up, we will have the ability to go into phase two. Now, if a bunch of fools go out there and violate and do the things that they
They're
may
still doing
do,
it.
that I know, we may be able to extend it. I'll give you an example.
So as of Friday at 5 p.m., we're
5
no
p.m.
longer in the stay at home order.
We're still in
Is that what
order.
are we still in or we're not?
Yes, we're still the same order, right, Jenny?
Well, we're still in the stay at home.
Yeah.
You know, but we're just moving into a phase one of,
Yes.
of the
See, that's
reopening
a lot of
process.
confusion because a lot of people think that as of May 8th, that stay
That
at
it's
home
back.
order, it's done. Now we're just being a little bit restricted on where to go, where to do. So we're still
just
under stay at home order.
correct. Yeah. I mean, you know, you can drive around in your car, you can go to the places that are allowed to be open. But it's really what it is it's saying, okay, we're going to test the waters. Use your common sense, wash your hands, wear protective equipment if you have it. You know,
I didn't see any of the, like, there's no dental appointments, there's no dental clinics open.
That won't go into effect until phase two.
Personal services like salons, things that are up close and personal are still prohibited.
So our hair is still going to be our hair. So this is the one change that I think people may be doing, and I hope we don't abuse it. So currently, right now, it's not recommended that I invite people over to my house and like have a barbecue outside. We recommend you stay home and be around people you're with.
You can still do it, but it's not recommended, correct?
Well, on Friday at 5 p.m., now I can invite y'all to my house. You can sit in the backyard, stay 6 feet away from each other. As long as I have up to 10 people or 8 to 10 people, it's okay. So that is helping with people who feel like they need to be around people, whether it's their family members or maybe some friends. So you may see some more cars outside people's houses that are congregating outside, doing those kind of things. So that is something that has changed just a little bit, whereas before it was not recommended to do that. Now you are allowed to do that as long as you practice social distancing. You're also able to, for an example, maybe I could get in my driveway and have some neighbors sit in lawn chairs outside as long as they're away from each other, and maybe play a song for them or something, maybe do a little community kind of thing. So those are things that are changing in phase one that are now recommended you can do. Before they were recommended not to because
But they were still doing them. I mean, I've known neighborhoods where they would put people.
I have a neighbor at the end of the block that every day, him and his buddies, they're all outside in lawn chairs, drinking beer, the kids playing around. They have not, I know. But that's kind of my point. You know, it is, it depends on how many.
What about flea markets?
What was that?
What about flea markets? Is this an open air?
No, I don't think they can do that.
I think because of because flea markets, you know, usually each booth rental is an independent business.
Yeah,
it would be hard for the management company of the building to control what goes on in here. You know, really, they're focusing on businesses that can control exit and entry into the building. So with the retail businesses, they're also going to check the health. It's incumbent upon the business to check the health daily and hourly on their
Mhm.
employees. So if one comes in, and I do believe they have to take their temperature when they enter the business.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
should.
there's a
employee.
lot of things that have to be done. And that's kind of what we talked about last week, Jenny. And I know
Yeah.
Ruth wasn't with us last week. We talked about with Dr. B, even if we released everything tomorrow, let's just assume it's not going to happen, but let's just assume we did. Businesses are not going to open. So just because these people are yelling, you're not the boss of me, we need to reopen, we need to be open, they're still not going to get any business because responsible people aren't going to go to those things. So they're going to actually lose money because a restaurant
And
needs at least
responsible
80%.
businesses have to spend in order to control that.
Exactly. And the cost of the profit margins are so small in the restaurant business that they need at least 80% occupancy, or unless they have a very unique business plan where it's a lot of takeouts, a lot of those kind of things, but none of the fine
only
dining.
ones that being holding up and being actually surviving are fast food restaurants.
Exactly.
Your quick dining places, your places that had a big carry out and delivery business before the pandemic. Their business model didn't really, it got affected, but obviously they didn't live and die off, a Chipotle, for example, doesn't live or die off dine-in customers.
Also, go ahead, Jenny, go ahead.
One other, important point is, the countries that, like Taiwan, for example, that successfully did this without a quarantine, they, as a nation, during a pandemic or during a crisis, their president always, puts it upon them that everybody wears masks. They understand social distancing. The majority of them, when they go shopping, they wear gloves, and they understand this. So, one of the big things is, especially conservatives always talk about personal responsibility. So when we go out into the world, if any of us venture out after May 8th, or if we have people come in, we have to make sure we're responsible, because the death rate is not slowing down, just like all the other places that got hit hard. It's kind of a 4 to 8 weeks of ramp up on new cases, and that starts to slow down. But the death rate takes another 4 to 8 weeks to peak. So we still haven't hit the peak on our death rate.
Yeah, we Mecklenburg County won't hit our peak until July 12th, or what was the day? July 6th. So there was a day that they mentioned that Mecklenburg County will reach our peak on July 6th.
Oh, wow.
And so just want to jump on what you said, Jenny, because we did speak about this very briefly last week. We gave Matt Newton a really good a show, and we're talking about these small businesses. And one of the things that we were talking about is a lot of these small businesses are not going to survive. They are not going to be able, even with the stay-at-home, even with the reopen, they just have so much debt. Their business plans were not, they did not have a rainy day fund to help them for 2 or 3 months down the road. Many families teach their kids, always have a savings in case some emergency happens and you can live 2 or 3 months. Most Americans can't do that. Most Americans, after 1 month, they're wiped out. Okay, so I think it's fair to say that that's not a realistic thing today, because most Americans live paycheck to paycheck or so forth. But there are people who save a savings just in case something happens, so you can live for 2 or 3 months. I think the ideal is like 6 months.
They teach us how to survive in a case of emergency just for 3 months, but this is going to be extended. This is more than 3 months.
Yes. And so there are many businesses that started that maybe didn't have a lot of capital, that had a lot of debt, that had high rents, that needed their profit margins were so very small, and they're not going to survive this. And those are the ones but there are also businesses that have low equity, that have almost no debt. They've been able to work with their landlords, so their rents have been forgiven for 4 months to help them recover. So it depends. So there's a lot of businesses are in different. Some of them have deep pockets, some of them don't. So
the ones that haven't made is the mortgage companies. Those
are double dipping. Yeah. Not only are they able to get their own loans and their banks.
They're doing their loss mitigation, which is like retracting up to 6 months, up to a year.
Exactly.
Backup payments.
And they're still charging their tenants, whatever and none of those loans are forgiven. So there's a lot
to jump in on that. If you have a federally insured loan, they cannot double dip.
Yes.
So if it's insured by, Fannie Mae or any of the USDA or any of the federally backed loans, no matter what kind of banking institution or financial institution,
sure,
they must they must do payment forgiveness.
Yes.
So they're actually mandated to do that, and mandated to do that for several months. So
well, I guess what I was pertaining to, and I know this came across as very harsh last week, but there are some businesses that shouldn't reopen. There are some businesses that, I'm sorry, that they were not prepared for this. No one was prepared for this. And I know saying that comes across as if though I'm not caring, but I'm being, I want to be equal on how we treat our businesses as much as we treat our individuals. There are some individuals that just is not safe. And I know that because I was in a position where I never did that. And so there are businesses that shouldn't reopen. I can tell you at this little shopping center that I go to, we have our sports bar that I go to, they're going to live. The owner has pretty much, they've been really good takeout. There's a little Greek diner next to it. I don't know how they stay in business. They're not going to succeed, and they probably shouldn't succeed. There's a little, I call it a knick-knack store. It's called the Mole Hole. It's been open for 7 years. I never see anybody in there. So unless they're funneling Russian drug money, I don't know how they're going to stay in business.
They're
and maybe they
investing
shouldn't.
their money somewhere else, and they're just pretending to be open.
Yeah, that's true.
And one of the harsh realities is anytime that you have a Great Depression or a society-altering event like COVID-19, for example, I guess it's one of those great filters. We're going to see lots of changes
down in Texas. Philip Cano, he's commenting, and I love all these comments. I'm cracking up here with all of them, but this one, it's very important. A friend of him from work left work and to start her own bakery back in January, but she could never open and has to try to come back to work. That's why small businesses in Northside have been able to stay open. He's commenting of what we're saying, and it is true. I mean, some people decided to start off a new 2020 with a new vibe, a new starting, making a dream to come through, and everything got soaken by COVID.
But go ahead, Jenny.
And I think our retail model and our business model in the true 21st century is going to have to change. So we're going to have to align that with the values of sustainability, and sustainability is not just environmental, even though that's a part of it. Is sustainability is having contingency plans and adaptability plans. Like being able to pivot and move online,
accommodate
virtual things.
That falls a lot into our hairdressers and salons and all that, because that them being closed and they still have to pay for their their building rent, and they're not making any money. How they're going to survive?
Well, I think go ahead, Jenny.
And I think with personal services, like where employees get close and personal, like massage, makeup artists, hair salons, even medical, we're going to have to reevaluate how that business model looks. So like inside a salon, maybe there should be little portable barriers between the chairs. Maybe we shouldn't have a salon with 10 chairs and people stacked on top of each other. Maybe that was never smart. Maybe that was never really that hygienic.
But if we're talking about personal to personal, like two people, like for instance, a hair salon, isn't it okay to wear a mask on both parties and gloves and kind of use that big shield, maybe something that will accommodate and allow them also to make money as we're getting our service done?
Well, and that wasn't happening in a lot of those businesses before. Before you had, if you went to a hair salon and laid your head back, you had somebody talking and spitting right on top of you. I mean, and
on the weekend it's packed.
So we literally there was no aerosol barrier between us. And then think about how a lot of times where they have the 4 or 5 hair washing stations, And I've literally been in a situation where me and 3 other women are like butt to butt to butt to butt. And so we're all co-mingling our aerosols too, you know, and so those type of things, they're going to have to think about scheduling appointments more, maybe not allowing walk-ins, being smarter about their business, and they're going to have
their
to
business
do that.
to their home and taking care of themselves by them, you know, like.
No, I think that's what you're going to see. Ruth, I think that's what you're going to see. Jenny, you know, talks about this all the time. She talks about how we've had to pivot. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of hairdressers who in all actuality, most hairdressers, most barbers, most people who do that are independent contractors. They are 1099 people. They have EIN numbers. They rent spaces at these places. So they're independent contractors. And I think you're going to see them maybe going to people's homes more, maybe being a little bit more creative on how they, you know, how they make their money, because
old school house calls. I mean, like
exactly.
Doctors almost never saw their patients in their clinic. Usually the old way was, even in the cities, is that doctors and nurses went into people's homes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I want to say this, and I know we're not, this is not really what we're talking about, but this is a Latinx show, but even though we tend to focus on a lot of other things, but I know in the Latinx, tell me what you think about this, Ruth. In the Latinx community, there in our culture, I want to say in our culture, except the Cuban culture. The Cuban culture is just very different. In our culture, we are taught to do everything you can to survive.
Yep.
So when an emergency happens, because emergencies just happen to us a lot, whether it's bad luck, whether it's how we position ourselves, that's just the way it is. Maybe it's just because our parents survived the Great Depression and they've always done it. And not just Latinx community. I think there's a lot of rural areas where there are parents who own farmers who survived, learn how to operate on minimal just to get things done. So there's not a tendency to get help from people. It's almost looked a little bit not down upon when you get help from people. I guess the only best way I can put it is when something like this happens, when you've lost your job as a bartender or a service industry, whatever.
They'll come out with any other idea.
Yes, they'll say,
I have a lot of friends that lost
the post office is hiring, Walmart's hiring, Amazon is hiring,
not only
construction
that,
is hiring. Yeah,
they'll come up doing things through Facebook, through online. They'll start doing tamales and selling them.
Exactly.
They'll start doing cooking. I mean, it has impressed me by the amount of people that I've seen not struggling and not crying about what's going on, but they are also taking a lot of measures and taking care of themselves as well.
Exactly. And that's so I guess my point is that if you look at communities that are going to get through this differently, I do think that our Latinx community is going to come out of this a little bit different than maybe some of the other communities, because we are a community that is taught, do what you got to do to feed your family. Put your pride aside. If it means you got to bag groceries at Harris Teeter, if it means you got to cut grass, if it means you got to do whatever, do what you got to do to get through this emergency. Because once you can get through this, you've pivoted yourself. And there are some communities that, I've lost my job and this, and they don't have that ability to pivot easily. I can tell you within our LGBT community, just by nature, we've learned how to pivot, because we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Well, it's to survive.
I think what it really comes down to is it's not just the Latinx community. I think it really comes down to the others. You know,
yes,
being
that's true.
I guess it's a change of mentality.
Yeah.
People, you don't have to be a certain gender or a certain thing. It's just the way you want to think how to provide to your family. I mean, I've met people that I've never thought they will get out of their pride and say, you know what, I went and knocked on the door at a car dealership and I started washing their cars. I mean, I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
You know, my company closed down and I don't care what I'm going to be doing, but I'm going to be providing food. That's what it's bringing into.
most of my adult life, I've always had at least 2 gigs. I rarely have ever had just one gig that I relied on.
Are you Jamaican?
Yeah, very much so. But in this day and age, and especially with the cost of living and everything, which may go down a little bit after this, landlords may rethink their mentalities. But I do believe that any marginalized community, because they've always lived on the margins, because they've always had to take what was left over, always
Jenny,
learns how to adapt a lot quicker.
Jenny, what you said is exactly right. It's not just unique to the Latinx community. I just happen to remember it growing up, and what I see.
Oh yeah,
many marginalized communities who've learned how to they've learned what we needed to do to survive.
Yep.
And I do think it gives us an advantage during these times like this, because we do have that skill set to survive. And so I do think that is that's a good thing. And when this passes, we will look back and we will see those who have the ability to pivot and those that did not have the ability. I can just tell you, just from my perception of a lot of the reopened people, the ones that are complaining about, you're not the boss of me, they don't seem to have the skill set to be able to pivot, which is why they're angry. They feel like they're owed.
Because they feel they're not going to survive.
Yeah, they feel like they're not going to survive.
They don't know what else to do. I don't know if any of y'all ever worked at a place where you are hired just to do certain things, but then a Latino comes in, or a person with a different mentality
and does multiple things
and does multiple jobs, and then you ask the other person, they'll tell you, why are you doing that? They only paid me, I got hired for this title. And I'm like,
girl, that's what that saying said. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our jobs.
It's
Jenny,
multitasking.
And I think a lot of times, and especially in communities where you have a high percentage of new arrivals, first and second generation Americans, like my grandparents had a very different perspective coming over here right before the Great Depression, and they had a certain mentality. They didn't speak very much English. They had a heavy European accent. They weren't real well received, and the Latinx community has a ton of brand new Americans, a lot of new arrivals. Pretty much everybody that's in a Latinx family has some family member that's a new arrival. So it's those early on Americans that haven't been here for 5, 10, 15, 20 generations. They have a thicker skin. They fought to get here. They fought to become an American. They earned it, and I equate it to my own story. When I have some women that say, I'm not a woman, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm going, I fight every day to earn that status. You were born with it. You got the genetic lottery. Your brain matched your plumbing. I have to every day go out and convince people of who I am. And so the Latinx community, especially in a predominantly white society, when they're on the job, they got to go out and prove themselves. They got to work twice as hard to get maybe half the recognition. And because it's a white man's world. In this country, it is a white man's world.
And that's why, girl, when my license says I'm white, sometimes I will say I'm white, and sometimes no, I'm joking. All right, let's skip to another topic, because I think this was really good what we were talking about. I want to talk about 2 more topics. I want to talk about how our elected officials have done. But before this, I do want to say that as we enter phase 1 on Friday, I think we need to look back at the last 6 weeks, and we need to make some very tough decisions. And one of those tough decisions is, will we start wearing pants again?
Well, for me personally,
will we start wearing pants again?
I don't wear a whole lot of pants.
No, you don't.
But I think, first of all, I don't think Zoom meetings in the virtual world is going away anytime soon.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah.
I think we'll see a round 2 of this.
I don't think so. Look.
Oh, see? What did I tell you?
There we go.
I knew it.
I mean, summer's coming up. You got to wear shorts anyway. I mean, like, I mean, we're getting to the leg weather. Ooh, look at them legs.
We
Look
need
at
to
them
we need to
legs.
do a fundraiser for Cano. He needs to change his boxers color.
Listen, I don't even know if I can fit into my jeans and my suits anymore.
I don't fit into my pants. I've gained so much weight.
Well, that's going to be.
Lordy.
I
That's
think
why I'm
that's going to be a
walking 4
question.
miles a day.
Oh, that's going to be a question being asked all around the country, or at least all around North Carolina. Is but I just always think it's so cute when I see the pictures of Matt with his hair and Matt Newton, our city council person,
and the pajama with the
his pajamas, and so I think that's really funny. And so that's one of the things that we need to talk about. We also are going to be talking about how long those of us are going to go without a haircut. I'm kind of starting to like my hair a little bit longer.
I feel sorry for y'all mans. I don't worry about that.
Well, the problem I have is
if I have a bad hair day,
yeah.
I have enough wigs
Yes.
to choose from.
Oh, I got some wigs, but
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think again, I think a lot of people are I think 2020, the shaggy look is gonna be in, out of necessity.
I'm afraid the 70s look is gonna come back, and that's really difficult for me. And one of the reasons I'm going to have a challenge is because I don't think we're going to be out having meetings like we did before, community meetings until at least, I just don't think we're going to do it in the summer. I don't think when flu season comes back in the fall. I think
what's the good thing about it is that we don't have to worry about primaries right now or anything like that, because then we would have been screwed up.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think we're going to get back to like the routine. Ruth, Jenny, we were 3 meetings a day. And I enjoy doing that, but it was nice to be able to kind of take ourselves down from it for a little bit so we can rejuvenate. And when we come back, I think
it's changed a lot though. I think people have, I get invited to 4 or 5 things a day, which I don't handle.
I don't know y'all by getting invited, but I am in a type of situation where I guess I've got my new routine that if I get invited, I don't feel like going nowhere at all.
You mean on Zoom, or do you mean?
Yeah, I'm getting Zoom invites.
No, I get in Zoom, but I'm thinking about, down the road once everything opens and say,
Yeah, I'm probably not going to do. I'm probably not going to visit. The amount.
I'm so used to
mainly because I think what we're going to learn is, I think what we're learning is how valuable our time is.
Yeah.
And our time is valuable, and what we're going to say is, I support your group. I'd love to help you, but I'm not going to travel an hour back. If you want to do it, let's do Zoom, because let's be honest, a lot of these meetings, it's just a couple of people yabbing. If it's a candidate, you hear the same old stuff all over again. And then you go, God, it's a waste of my time.
But doesn't that, I'm going to help you out there because I know what you're saying. I think what it's coming back to is when we start talking about the LatinX community, we're doing what's necessary instead of the I wants. I think what this is going to do is going to be a great filter for a lot of things, whether it's businesses that should have probably not been in business goes out of business.
Yeah.
We're going to be more efficient, which I
Exactly.
think goes back to we're going to be more grateful and aware of our time and how precious it is, whether it's spending more time with our families and loved ones, more time, enriching ourselves by, maybe doing a new workout routine, or
I guess evaluating ourselves more.
Gardening, yes. And our time, I think if anything, this taught us that our time is more valuable than maybe we wasted a lot of stuff, with the art of looking busy. And
exactly.
And I think a lot of us say, well, if we look busy, we look important. And I get caught up in that too. I get caught up in the hoopla of going to these beautiful parties and all that, and then I forget about what's really important, which is what's around us. My
exactly.
Friends,
so listen, let's jump briefly to and we're only going to spend about 10 minutes on this because we are at 10:46 here. Let's talk about how our elected officials have been doing, and if you want to throw candidates as well, we'll go around and you tell us. Let's go. We'll give them a grade from A through F.
F for Belial. Let me be clear. F for Belial.
We're going to throw some names out, and then you tell us what you think. We'll start with President Trump.
Oh, it's
I don't think we have a letter for him.
you know, if I've got an assign a letter, I am gonna give him a D instead of an F.
Okay.
The only reason being is he did encourage Congress to pass enough money to help Americans out, and it wasn't the amount that he should have. He should have took the lead a lot better. He should have reacted a lot earlier.
Okay.
Considering the information that we know he now knew early on in January.
And who?
Wait a minute.
I'm having.
Are you saying he encouraged or he was encouraged by Congress? Because I mean, there's
both
versions.
Both. I mean,
he ended up approving it, but everything was done by Congress.
Well, that's what I mean. He could have taken another tact and vetoed it or strong armed it. He didn't do anything spectacular.
Yeah.
He just didn't get in the way, which
Gotcha.
I thought was cool. Other than the ridiculous thing that he had to hand sign the checks.
I agree.
But that's why I gave him a D instead of an F. I as much as I don't like the man, I do believe that he definitely was horrific in his, we can look back. I do agree with
you, but keep in mind that us, the U.S. citizens, have earned part of that, and I feel that Congress really looked into it and was more compassionate and more I guess open up more to understand that the people needed that because they have already earned it. They were just giving it back.
Oh, the Congress for the most part was spectacular. I mean considering the dysfunction they had up until then, it was amazing how much they rallied. And with the Congress, I would give them a B. I think the only reason I won't give them an A is one, because they really did not qualify the business grant / loan program very well.
Yep.
And they should have started with individual Americans first. And they should have passed a long-term package for Americans. It shouldn't have been a 1 monthly payment, and it should have been probably a 3 to 6 month type outlook. Now they did do that with the unemployment, which the pandemic assistance on unemployment runs through July, which I think was fabulous.
Well, so I was having technical difficulties. Thank you all for covering. So you went from Congress, President. Let's talk about Governor Cooper. Oh,
I would give him an A.
Okay.
Yeah, I think AA plus, because he has a state house of that's Republican dominated, and yet he still was able to do the things necessary to protect North Carolina.
Going against everything that he's gone through, gosh, I mean, all this crazy stuff, people. That's a
very proactive.
And I think he's earning for his next, because he's becoming to be reelected. So I guess he's actually thinking about that. He's not thinking about what's going on right now. He's thinking about the future and how is he gonna get that in order. He's gonna get his position approved by the people if he acts now, and he's doing great.
And he's really done a good job of directing the different departments of Health and Human Services, the Unemployment Commission.
Just by the North Carolina school, imagine how many families that were not in the stimulus check. They are getting $250 for having their child in school registered. Doesn't matter if they have documents or not. That's a go. That's really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely think that, we mentioned this several weeks and seems like every show, that during a crisis, leaders either rise to the occasion or they don't. Yep. And that there is a Myers-Briggs test that you can give people. There's also different kinds of tests that you can give people. And in the professional world, when you go into a leadership position, you usually take that test. and the test ranks you in 4 different areas. And the reason for that is because when an emergency or a crisis happens, it will tell you which way you're likely to go. So for an example, during an emergency, I tend to become a leader because that's just my personality traits. I tend to say, all right, everyone, walk out the door. Let's think about things logically. How is this? So I've been successful in the hotel business because I have that anxiety in me, switch a calm in an emergency. Someone like my other half, who is always in control, when an emergency happens, goes the exact opposite on the Myers and Briggs chart and goes, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm the one that has to say, calm down, the boat's not sinking, let's do this, this, this. And so a lot of elected officials, you can tell they have either remained silent, or they have stepped up to the plate, or some of them have joined the reopen kind of, it's really important. And I do think as we get into the next individuals, our mayor, I do think that she is a good administrator, but her skill set was not there for her during a pandemic or an emergency. She likes things calm. When something happens that is out of the ordinary, she doesn't know how to handle it. And it was so obvious during this. And I think that also explains a lot of her lack of urgency on other issues like immigration, like those kind of things, because I don't think she just knows how to react to those. So what she does is she gets silent, she gets quiet, she does this. So that's what I got from the mayor. Does anybody else have a different impression of the mayor?
Well, my one thing with our mayor Vilas is that I think a lot of times, because I'm assuming that she's got eyes on, a higher office, I think she's in the mentality, don't rock the boat. So if she can step back and say, let Governor Cooper take the lead, I think that's what she did, is like, well, I'll let the city council kind of, make the, make the announcements, do the town halls. And if I just hide in the background during
what's the purpose of your title?
Well, I mean,
why are occupying the seat that you're not doing anything?
Yeah, good.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah. I just think that is her MO. If something controversial happens, I think she goes in silent mode, because if she doesn't say anything, then she also can't have that thrown back in her face. And I think
that's, what you're saying, Jenny. I understand what you're saying. I think it's exactly what happened. I think whoever's advising her, whether it's Julie Eisel, I don't know who her advisor is today, whoever's advising her basically said, sit back, don't get into the spotlight, let other people handle it. Here's the problem. The problem is, in a crisis, people don't want people to be quiet.
Yeah.
People want people to step up. That's just how crises work. In your family, when you have a family crisis, there's one person who takes over because they are the person that people can trust. And that's the person that they know, whether it's a death in the family, whatever the situation is, that's the person.
I'll stop you right there, Christian. Yeah. If she'd done that, that would have been great, but she didn't do anything. So she went to Switzerland and went completely neutral. Yeah. And she could have said, okay, well, I don't want to handle this, but I'm going to appoint Matt Newton as the person that's going to handle this crisis. And he's going to be our COVID spokesperson. Now, see, if she had done that and done a press conference on Zoom and said, I'm going to take a step back. I believe that we're going to appoint Matt Newton and one other, city council person. And these two people are going to be our focal point so that I can handle running the city. Yeah. They're going to do the lead on the PR and our city disclosures and our town halls. Had she done that, I would have said kudos, like where your weaknesses are.
Exactly. That would have showed leadership. That would have showed her ability to delegate. I completely agree with you. But here's also the other thing, Jenny, is that she can still change. She could still come out tomorrow. She could still rise up to the occasion, show she has a leadership position that could get to her to the next level. She could show that. Now she's going to have to admit some weaknesses and say, I wasn't there before. I hear what you say. and she could still do that. So there is, so if you're a Bilal supporter, there are probably 5 left in the city. If you're a Bilal supporter,
well, and I think too,
yeah,
I think too, in these type of things is just being, having awareness, being proactive.
yeah,
I think that with a lot of our local politicians, a lot of them got silent. A lot of them got
yeah,
they shrunk from that. And maybe some of them were intentional and they were deferring to Governor Cooper because Governor Cooper was the pandemic voice for North Carolina. Holding press conferences, being very accessible to the press, close the schools.
So let's do this, Jenny, because we're going to run out of time here in a second. And I want to talk about our next show just for a couple of minutes. But let's everyone name 3 elected officials that you really thought did a good job, and let's just give them props. So you want to start, Jenny? Give us 3 elected officials that you think did a good job, and let's give them some props.
Anywhere?
Ours are heroes. Yeah, anywhere.
Governor Newsom of California did a fantastic job. Governor Cuomo of New York, I considering the early missteps, he recovered very fast, showed a ton of compassion, super proactive. And of course, our governor, I think Governor Cooper, in a southern, fairly conservative, rural state, I think he killed it. I think if that isn't a reason to reelect the man, I don't know what is. I think he really saw a chief executive there.
Excellent. Ruth, Mama Ruth.
I think California governor did an excellent job, talking about my immigrant family. Roy Cooper here, I mean, he has shown us that, when it's the right time to step up, he has stepped up. And locally, I want to shout out to Matt Newton. I have never seen just a regular city council person in my entire time being here in Charlotte, acting and being so proactive and being so active with the community and being engaged and informative and all that. Late at night, doing videos, researching. I think he's one of our greatest leaders, and I hope he still remains for the next couple of years.
Well, I would agree with all of y'all. I would say I definitely have to give props to Governor Cuomo because he was the rational voice on the national stage.
I love him. I mean, he's the one that I call him my rebel governor.
So compared to Trump, there were more people watching Governor Cuomo on basic information. They were watching President Trump just out of humor and just to see what stupid thing he would say. So he was more entertainment. No one, I don't think, took him really seriously, sadly. So that's one. I would say Governor Cooper rose to the occasion better than I thought he would. He always came across as level-headed, rational, spoke at a very calming. Dr. Cohen, all of the press conferences were very transparent. They laid out all of their metrics and what they were looking at. They did an excellent job. And I think Governor Cooper, this was his shining moment. And I believe he could possibly become a presidential candidate someday because he did such a good job of management, leadership, and just the image that I think people were looking for. And that's why I think North Carolina is coming out of this so much better than some of the other states. The last one, it's a tie because it's local. Matt Newton, incredible job, stepped up to the plate, very passionate, took what we were saying was missing, personally took it and tried to help people with all of that. Mark Drill at the county level, I think, was doing an incredible job as well. There's some other people who were doing a good job.
There's so many of them.
There's a lot,
the ones that are shining,
but those stood out.
I think the ones that are not, they're holding up their temper. They're not showing, bad whenever somebody throws tomatoes at them. And they're still remain silent and doing their job.
Well, we're not going to name the ones that we don't think did well because I think we've already said those people. So
that's the way.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I think a lot of the people that shrunk from this fight, that shrunk from the front lines, It's their personality style, which is not an excuse, and it's not a reason. But I think when we're evaluating these people and they're doing their job interview this fall, this is how you make decisions. This is, is that, if you felt that they did a D or an F or a C level, and you think somebody else can do an A or a B job, it may be a chance for you to say, I didn't forget what you didn't do,
Exactly.
We're better than that, Exactly. So I think our litmus test for people holding public office and being public servants is we need them to be leaders when we're in these crises. And we need them to be public servants the rest of the time, which is putting the public first, which Ruth talks about all the time, and serving our communities, and especially our marginalized communities. These are things that are even our Congress that they did great. They did good. I don't know if they did great, because I think they really did a disservice to marginalized communities by not, putting as part of the spending package inner city Detroit, places like that, where they're not reporting nurses' deaths as COVID deaths. They're not doing post-mortem testing on specifically Black nurses. And there's going to be we're going to see a lot of cover-ups. We're going to see a lot of
there's a lot we're going to learn after this. So listen, let's jump to the last two things, because we really need to sign out here. I do want to thank everyone for joining us, those who are watching us now, those who are going to be joining us later on Facebook and also YouTube as well, those who are going to be watching us after the Matt Newton Dimple Eshmir event that's going on now. I want to talk very briefly and try to keep this in 30 seconds, Jenny. Pride, the Pride Reel Festival starts tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, Real Out Film Festival starts tomorrow, the 7th, and runs through the 11th. It's a self-guided virtual festival. You can go onto our Facebook. You can register for free. We send you an email invite, and you can view the films at your leisure. The only set viewing party is on Sunday, May 10th. There is an event that's posted on there because I don't remember the time. But everything else, you can watch the short films at your leisure.
Okay. Excellent. And the last but not least, I want to talk about this show and how we have evolved, how we have pivoted from our shows here at Casa de Cano to the virtual shows that we're doing. I want to give all of us a round of applause on how we have pivoted. For those who don't know why Baby Trump has been on the screen, the purpose for Baby Trump is to get us ready in case we had to do longer virtual shows. The Baby Trump camera would be where the director or the producer would actually sit and help direct us. But we needed someone on camera. So that's the reason we have Baby Trump, because if we have to go further than this, we would have a director or a producer on the Baby Trump camera sending us notes and chats like, hurry up, Ruth, Jenny, 30 seconds, let's talk about this. And so yes, ringing the bell. So I do want to say we're all learning how to deal with and how to pivot our show. When we go into phase one, we'll probably do this show again on Saturday this way until we get into phase two. Then we can come back together. And when we do that, we will have the ability to stream live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter all at the same time with the software that we have. We can't do it with this software. So we do have some more ability to do different things. I do think we're all learning the new realities.
I'm afraid of phase two. I might not come back.
That's okay. Maybe we can figure out how maybe Jenny and I sit at the table. I got to figure out software. The techie guys. We need someone techie, some techie college kid to come and help us.
Now you got me nervous here.
Having the picture in picture. But I do think that what we're seeing now is different ways to communicate. I can tell you that I love to see all of the other virtual shows that have been going on, whether they're town hall meetings. I like to see that because we're all learning from each other. I will say one person who has pivoted the best, and I'm so impressed, is Laura Ensley from Beerly Funny. She's got that show down. She's getting better. Those of us who've watched the show, it is really a classy type of thing where from the payment, from the ticket to this, everything is so streamlined. I'm so impressed. She needs to make sure she doesn't share her secrets, because that's going to make her valuable when this ends. Whereas we just share everything.
and the reality too is in, you know, because I help her with some marketing and we have a lot of talks. And she's also going to be part of the week of entertainment next week for Pride, which we'll talk about on Saturday. But she has given us the most live version of her comedy show that she can do without being in a club.
Yes.
And it is fabulous. She has a show tomorrow night, Thursday night, at the regular.
I got a ticket.
Show.
Yeah.
And then she has a special Mother's Day edition that'll be.
I'm buying 4 tickets to that one.
That's a G-rated one.
Yes.
For all the mamacitas out there.
Yeah, those are Mother's Day gifts we're giving to family members for Mother's Day. We thought that would be sweet because it on the cheap, it's cheaper than flowers. You know how expensive flowers are.
Absolutely.
So we are down to the last minutes, and I did want to say something. A person that we missed that we hope that we'll be getting back here soon when the hiatus starts. Those who have missed the man about town, Jeff Scott. We missed you, Jeff. We can't wait for you to come back.
Jeff.
Yes, we can't wait to come back to the show.
I miss your Wiki Cup.
That's right. One of the things that I do know that every household, some of the changes that have occurred in the last 6 weeks long. Those of us who do a lot of Zooms, all these signs are going on doors. This is a sign that goes on our doors. It says on call, please keep door closed. There's a little keep the dog from barking right here.
Right.
So I know a lot of families have doors closed with hush, I'm on a call. Those are things that are going on. I want to also let people.
I have full family house today because nobody worked.
Oh, wow.
Here. I don't know if y'all are hearing the movies, the blender, kitchen.
Yeah, they're afraid of you, so they're afraid to make noise. They're like, she's got.
Oh no, they've been doing a lot of noise.
Oh, really?
I can't hear it. They've done a good job,
good job.
Or you have a well insulated home.
Yeah.
Be smart. Don't forget, we talk about this on the regular show. Be smart. Gun sense things to ask people. And of course, we have not read our Constitution quotes.
I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, we have not read the Constitution.
We have not, because I think y'all forgot to take your copies home with you. And I guess you could just look it up.
Yeah, I think I have
one.
We
could.
Yeah, you could look at it. Anyway, we'll get back to reading all of this. Anybody else want to add anything before we kind of go around and tell everybody where we're going to be?
I want to make sure that our community, whoever's watching us, please fill out your census. Yes. That is something very important. You know, we're defining our next 10 years, depending on how we fill it out. You know, if we want funds, if we want to let go of that, we want to make sure that our kids' future, it's in a better position. So please fill out your forms.
And you can go online. It's confidential. It has nothing to do with any kind of status as far as you know, being a resident or undocumented or anything.
Yeah.
But it really gives our communities a snapshot of what the needs are and population density and things like that. Especially in your more rural counties, like Union County, for example, is even more important. Because
to see where the money goes.
Not getting the funding in the right parts of the counties and precincts can make all the difference for schools, county health and human services, our
clinics, everything. University.
It's a huge thing.
Excellent. So listen, I just want to remind everybody this Saturday, our show would be this. Phase 1 starts at 5 p.m. in North Carolina at 5 p.m. So Saturday's show, we'll have Dr. B. He'll be back with us. And the topic is, how did the stay-at-home order save lives? We'll be talking about that. And maybe we'll have Matt Newton to kind of recap what they talked about during their show this morning that we were not able to attend. And then we will have another show next Wednesday, and it'll be called Life After COVID-19. what life is going to be afterwards. We've been talking about these kind of things pretty much anyway. But I do want to thank everyone who's joined us on Facebook Live, those who are going to join us later on Facebook and who want.
Thank you, Janice, for stepping up and doing all your comments. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lauren Inslee. Thank you for being connected. Excellent.
I wonder if she heard my comment.
Yes. She said, hi, y'all. Thank y'all for providing this update.
Yeah.
Janice, she said, Cooper panders. Yeah, when we were talking, Cooper's running for a re-election. He will pander to bug businesses. I was cracking up with all these questions, but thank you all for connecting and making yourself.
It's always good to have the chat in there. So listen, eye candy.
Thank you, Philip. Philip says El Día de las Madres. Philip speaks better Spanish than you do, Cano.
He does. He does. He's pretty smart.
Thank you, Philip. Happy Mother's Day for all y'all. We're going to have a show on Saturday, so please join us at 10 a.m. And of course, y'all, if y'all have your mama with y'all, make sure to give her a phone call if you can't visit her or see her. So
let's go around. That's where you're going to be. Looks like we've got Jenny first, then Ruth, and then I guess I'll end with Baby Trump. And while you're doing that, we'll start the music and then stay online. We're going to end Facebook. Y'all stay online so we can do our promo on Zoom. And let's start with you, Jenny. Tell us where you're going to be, that kind of wonderful stuff.
I'm going to be at the Real Out Virtual Film Festival for the next 4 days. And I'll be watching Lauren's show, Barely Funny, tomorrow night, Thursday night, and Sunday. The Mother's Day show will probably sell out. So keep that in mind if you want tickets.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stay at home, keep on being here, working on my yard. I'm doing a little bit of everything, redecorating. And just happy Mother's Day. I don't know. I don't have any plans for Mother's Day. So I guess I'll just be here. Y'all have fun.
Being a mama.
I'm going to be watching the virtual funny Beerly Funny Comedy Show tomorrow night. I've got a ticket. Also have tickets to watch the Mother's Day special. We're buying gifts for family. And I want to thank our essential workers. So we can see that sign. Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. We do go with the sun. It's going to get cool. It may frost on Saturday night. So
yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
I feel bad for my crops out there.
I know. I don't know. I got to cover the plants and all kinds of stuff. Complicated, very complicated issue. Okay, Jenny, very briefly, you mentioned something about the pickup for the city for the shrubs has been.
Well, they're still doing the shrub pickups.
Okay.
It's just taking them longer because of social distancing and being short-staffed with the city.
Because I know that's the question Barbara wanted to ask. Joe.
Yeah, they're still doing the responsible measures, so it just takes longer because of the way they're scheduling things now. But they are still doing it.
County?
Well, for Mecklenburg County, so for the city of Charlotte.
Don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. We've had shrubs and tree limbs and are waiting to be picked up, and the longer they are, it kills the grass underneath them.
Yeah.
And so these are really important issues that we need fixed here in South Charlotte. So, all right, we're going to say goodbye. We're going to Facebook.
Bye,
Bye, everyone. Good show, y'all.